Assalamu alaikum and good morning students. Today we are going to study page number 21 on our textbook. The topic of our study is we start a new chapter, unit number 4, report. What is a report? Report is something that you observe and write in your words. After that this report will be published in a site or a publisher will publish your report. Unit name is Being an Airline Pilot. Being an Airline Pilot. Airline pilot बनने के लिए कौन कौन से steps ज़्यादा ज़रूरी हैं? For being an airline pilot, different steps have been required. For example, training before takeoff, how to take off your plane in the air, how you fly your plane, and landing and post flight. Now start our reading. Years of training. Being an airline pilot take years of training. Pilots have to learn about radio, communication and navigation. Pilots have to learn about radio, communication and navigation. They have to know how to deal with emergencies as well as how to fly the plane. They have to know how to deal with emergencies as well as how to fly the plane. In this paragraph, I have to summarize you that in the years of training, what have been explained. Being an airline pilot, you have to take years of trainings in which you learn about the communication and navigation of radio and also know how to fly the plane and deal with the emergencies. Second step is before takeoff. One of the pre-flight tasks is to look carefully at the route and the weather forecast. Before takeoff से पहले. One of the pre-flight is the before the flight. One of the pre-flight tasks is to look carefully at the route. Route is the way. One of the pre-flight tasks is to look carefully at the route and the weather forecast. Before pre-flight, you have to be careful. Being a pilot, you have to be careful about the route and the weather forecast. Weather forecast in which they show that what's about today's weather with the help of his own board computer. In the airplane, the pilot have his own board computer. The pilot can calculate how much fuel will be needed. Another pre-flight job is the walk around. You have to walk around your plane. Being an airline pilot, the pilot checks the outside of the aircraft. If you are a pilot, you have to check out your outside and around the aircraft. He examines the tires and the lights. He makes sure that no dead birds are catch in the engines. The pilot have to check out the engines that there's no dead bird catch in the engines. Then he goes inside to inspect the controls in the cockpit. Cockpit is the place in which the pilot sits. Then he goes inside to inspect the controls in the cockpit. In air, a pilot never flies alone. There are always two pilots There are always two pilots on every flight. Every flight have two pilots, the captain and the co-pilot. The captain who flies the plane and the co-pilot which help in flying the plane. Both have controls but only one flies the plane. Both can control the plane but only one flies the plane. The other one always guide about the route. They are in touch constantly with air traffic control. They are in touch constantly with air traffic control. They always in touch with the air traffic control, which warns them about weather changes, which gives them information about the weather change and makes sure that they keep a safe distance away from other aircrafts, and also look at the distance between the two aircrafts. Now on next page, page number 22, to get from place to get from To get from place to place, pilots fly along air corridors. Air corridors are the ways in which one plane can fly and guide the plane by the air traffic control. They get from To get from place to place, pilots fly along air corridors, which are like imaginary roads in the sky. Air corridors are the imaginary pathways in the sky. Landing. The plane can only land when it has been given permission by air traffic control at the airport. When he lands, the pilot must look out for another aircrafts on the runway. When it touches the ground, the plane may be still going more than 240 kilometers per hour. Post flight. After flight, the pilot's job is not over when the plane lands. Before going off duty, he has to make a post flight report recording in detail what happened on the flight.